For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Thabi Madiba. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss the Ramaphosa era. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Do you think since the Ramaphosa's election as the ANC president, South Africans are more optimistic about the future of the country?
Yes, no, I think they're very optimistic, maybe too optimistic, because I think that it's very important in politics to not work with optimism, pessimism, and allow yourself to get disappointed. You need to look what is happening, what are the possibilities. You can be optimistic in the sense that there are possibilities under Ramaphosa. Already the possibilities are emerging that were not possible under the Zuma era. Because Ramaphosa is, his whole basis of election was in opposition to continuation, or what is perceived as continuation on the part of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, continuation of the Zuma era. That was how it was perceived. Maybe it would not have been that exactly, but he was perceived as a clean broom, a broom sweeping clean. And in that context, already, without him being president of the country, there have been incredibly dramatic changes in the last 2 weeks. First of all, Zuma calls this commission of inquiry. Now, there's some aspects of it about the terms of reference that people are not happy about, but the fact of calling the commission on the basis of the Chief Justice deciding who the head of the commission will be is in conformity with what the Public Protector ordered, and it's opposed to what Zuma went to court about. So it's very important development. And there's also the last week a new ESCOM board, a new ESCOM chair. I can't remember. There's the freezing of assets. A lot of people are realizing this is their future, and they may not have ethical reasons for changing sides, or they may have realized that this is the best thing to do and it's correct for the country. They may have good motives, but even if they don't have good motives, they are throwing their weight behind Zuma. And I think what's important, what I said in my article, is that Ramaphosa was elected by the ANC delegates, but the ANC delegates felt the weight of public opinion, which was against continuation of this pillage of the country. So people are, on the one hand, happier than before, but they're optimistic, I think, in the sense that they think they can see they're helping to make things happen. My argument is you mustn't rely on optimism and sit back. You must also put pressure as the public to ensure that this continues, because it may stall in some moments.
Can Ramaphosa succeed in successfully stamping out corruption in the ANC and the state?
Well, I think that's going to be a very long process. There's big corruption and there's small corruption. Like, I give you 100,000 and then you bring a whole lot of people in as members of a branch or something like that. Now that's small corruption, that's a lot of money. Small corruption compared to the siphoning off of money from state-owned enterprises. The focus that he's got primarily at the moment is on how the state is having its resources depleted, how state-owned enterprises are being hollowed out, becoming dysfunctional, having huge debts. And at the last medium-term budget, the debt that the country had was huge. I think it was 50 billion, going to be 60 billion, and now President Zuma made this announcement about fees. So when Ramaphosa goes to Davos, I think he's going today, He wants to create the impression that strong steps are being taken against corruption, and some very important preliminary steps were taken this week in terms of asset forfeiture and new board and removing Mgluli as crime intelligence head, a number of these things. But there's a long way to go. You see, corruption is really dishonesty where one person takes money from another, or one person gives money to another for a favor. But state capture is more than that. State capture was a system whereby people were sending information to the Guptas, and they were able to influence who got what position, who became members of boards, and who became CEOs, things like that. Now, it may well be that they've identified all the places, although it is likely that there are a lot of people who are in positions at the moment who you can't simply fire. You have to prove. You have to find a way of proving this link. And I think that if you want to save the country from bankruptcy, whether you want social inequality removed or not, the country is facing bankruptcy. And it's already at junk status in terms of getting loans. Now, there's a strong reason to restore legality, to restore economic functioning on a regularized basis, and it will take time. But I think Ramaphosa and those who he is likely to appoint to a cabinet, should he become president soon, would also want to put a stop to the pillage and move, but it will take time.
And will Jacob Zuma be the one delivering the State of the Nation address, do you think?
You know, I'm not a qualified Sangoma, so I can't tell you that. Or a fortune teller in other cultures, I don't know. But I mean, it may well be that he's removed before then. But you know, the statement of Ramaphosa to the effect that he wants Zuma to leave with dignity, what exactly does he mean? Is it just that he's allowed to resign and not be impeached? Or is he making undertakings regarding court cases and possible conviction? Because he's not allowed to promise Zuma immunity from prosecution. That's against the law. So there's a certain ambiguity in what's happening, and I think they're trying to make a deal over how he goes. I don't mind if there's a deal, as long as the law is observed. So I don't know when he's leaving.
And lastly, Ramaphosa has announced the new ESCOM board, and so far has seemingly received no criticism. So does this mean he's the hope that South Africans have longed for?
Yeah, you know, look, I don't myself attribute messianic qualities to Cyril Ramaphosa. But South Africans are longing for a hero. They're longing. You know, they saw Pravin Gordhan as a hero. They now see Cyril Ramaphosa as a hero, and he probably will make Gordhan his Minister of Finance again, for all we know. But I don't think things can work with one individual. I think the drive of that person who's president is very, very important, but requires the support of a number of sectors. And they must understand, business must understand, that having regularity, having lawful governance, all of these things is very important, but we have to address questions of inequality, and it's not just the state who must do that. A number of sectors of society need to address these things, and I think Ramaphosa needs to be aware that some people will remain unhappy because they are still living in poverty. But I think Ramaphosa gives reason to be optimistic that things will gradually improve, but it'll take a long time to put the state right and to allow all people to live with dignity.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about the Ramaphosa era.